Right. Hey everyone, I'm Klloo. So, along with the product pages for our Smash Palace and our Mastery Pack Guardian, of course, comes cards. So, we do have some spoilers to look at, although the majority are kind of concerning UPF, right? Or, the Guardian versus Guardian matchup for our Mastery Pack Guardian. But there are some nice little add-ins as well for us to go through. So, UPF cards. We'll start with the heroes, right? So we have our Bolfer, our Bravo, our Fightmaster, our Groundbreaker, our Rhea, and our Victor, right? So, generally speaking, all of them minus Bravo are UPF focused. They are pit fighters, so they can only be utilized for UPF, and their abilities generally only really matter in UPF. So, can you read this? I'm hoping you can read this, right? I'll do it. I'll zoom in. So, we have Bolfer Bare Hands. You can't equip weapons, right? So that's interesting. But then we have his action, pay 3. Next attack action card with Crush you play this turn may attack an additional hero. Go again. So basically, he starts out really strong. But when you're, down to just mono-y-mono, he drops off because you don't have the weapon value as Guardian normally wants to have. But still, it's a really, really cool mechanic, right? Pay 3, tap him, and swing at both your left and right side for something pretty sizable. And, if you do the Guardian shtick of throwing out auras and buffing it up, you could be basically doubling a 10, a 12, a 15, something absolutely crazy and sending it both ways, which is pretty nutty, right? And definitely prevents them from retaliating back against you. So, yeah, very fun for UPF, right? We'll leave Bravo for last. Fightmaster Cogs. So, action, tap, destroy gold you control. Look at the top 3 cards of the event deck, then put them back in any order. So, generally speaking, when it comes to the events, they are exciting, but the one issue I have with this is you use it post you, right? So, everyone else gets the benefit and then it cycles back around. That's at least my understanding of how the event deck works, right? So, yeah, it's still nice. You can't, well, no, see, it'd have to be look at 4, because then you could set it up so you get one for you, right? Given the fact that all the events are your, right? And end of turn, it's one every round, or every draw, every start, right? So yeah, if you could, it was pay gold and then circle it 3 times, 4 times, right? So that you could actually line up one for you that you specifically want. I'd like it a lot more, right? Otherwise, it's just set it up for the next 3 people, which I guess is that support type of UPF player, whereas you have Bolfer, aggressive, Fightmaster Cogs, helpful, right? Groundbreaker Crix. So, your attacks get +1 while attacking a hero who controls a Seismic Surge token. Whenever you attack a Guardian hero, clash with them, and the winner creates a Seismic Surge token. So, fantastic for this product alone, right? But not necessarily a workable hero to take to just UPF going forward, which is a little bit of a letdown, right? And this is actually one that we did get spoiled, right? But yeah, the translation of this to UPF going forward, granted, this is Smash Palace, that's playing with the event deck, so UPF might evolve a different event deck, might be, we don't know what the exact going forward is as to how LSS, do they fully support the events? Do they set up, proper ground rules? Or is it just, again, the casual fun that it has been? But either way, this is very much a Guardian-specific matchup, hero versus, again, Bolfer, sending just damage each way, and Fightmaster Cogs allowing you to set up the event deck, right, to, again, help all the different players. Rhea the Unyielding. Blocks you own and equipment you control with 1 or greater block get Protect. So Protect is you can use it to defend another hero. And then whenever you protect another hero, create a gold token. That is awfully scary, right? Because that is just a lot of gold generation that is, applicable. You could convert 4 equipment pieces to 4 gold, and you could just have this rampaging turn by the time it cycles back around to you. And again, very much applicable to wider UPF. So again, protect your left, protect your right, and then pick one of them to dunk on, I guess. But yeah, oh, that's interesting. 21 versus 20. I'm going to go with the pitcher. So 21 seems correct since, you want to defend, although you're not taking the damage anyway. You're just throwing out the block, right? That's how protect works. You're not redirecting the attack. You're just helping, yeah. And then we have Victor Goldmane, Match Fixer. So, instant tap, choose an opponent. The first card they reveal for their next clash this turn gets +1. When they win a clash, you create a gold token. Whenever you attack, you may destroy 3 gold you control. If you do, the attack gets +3 and dominate. So, yeah, we're definitely seeing why Cash In was banned, because gold through high seas, gold through this, just seems like gold is going to be pretty generatable, which is also, again, going back to that tidbit of if you're in, a somewhat blue line deck, right? You get to 3, you get a card, which is, something I would sort of expect them to balance around, but, 3 gold for 3 and dominate, still pretty nice, right? And so you've got a few different versatile ways to use this. There's instant, so you can use it in response to help someone out, or you could potentially be clashing with someone and using this as a double down. So if they win, you still get a gold. If you win, you get the gold, right? So yeah, versatile, fun, again, interactive. So altogether, UPF-wise, I like them all, except for Crix, who's a bit limited to just being, again, Guardian v Guardian. And then we have Bravo, our Flattering Showman, action, pay 2, tap. Turn a face-down card in your arsenal face up. If it has Crush, it gets +2, and Dominate this turn, go again. So that means it does not work with Heave, right? Your Heave cards are already face up, so you can't turn a face-down card up. But other than that, pay 2 to give it +2 and Dominate is definitely a really workable stat line boost, right? So yeah, I very much like him. I'm kind of hoping we get an adult version because I think I like him more than Bravo Showstopper, right? So yeah, as our new welcome deck going forward, right? And just a different playstyle for Ninja is one thing, but also just being decent, right? Overall, I think he's gonna be pretty applicable, right? You pick him up, you fine-tune it with some other Guardian cards, and your turns are pretty simple, which is what we want for Welcome, but also really, really decent, right? You can definitely land those crush effects with the Dominate and the +2. So yeah, the UPF heroes are definitely looking nice. As for our actual event cards, right? We have Benefactor of Bloodworth Goldbane, create a gold token. Your next attack this turn gets when this attacks. It gets +X, where X is the number of gold you control, so that could be quite sizable, especially with, one of our other heroes that has a decent chunk of gold generation. Code of Conduct, kill or be killed. Until the end of turn, you may attack any opposing hero, and when you deal lethal damage to them, take an extra turn after that one. So I'm kind of curious if that stacks. If you KO 2 people, you get 2 extra turns, right? Crowd Roars Fights. Your next attack this turn gets +1, and may target any opposing hero, so we're getting a lot more freedom with the event deck, which definitely will spice it up, right? So rather, again, left or right, you can then attack across the table. So depending on what actually gets thrown out, you can gang up, you can sideline, and overall it will just generally really shake up the experience. Rally the underdog, draw a card. If you have less life than an opponent, instead draw 2. So that's also a really, really sizable effect. So some of them are really, really cool and interesting, right? Which is what we want to see. So it's a 40 card deck, but there can't be 40 unique cards. So I'm highly expecting that the commons have repeats, and then the Majestics are single. Although, Rally the Underdog, right, having 2 or 3 copies in the event deck is kind of crazy, because even just a +1 is pretty nice, right? Again, too bad you can't really line it up until we're down to 2 opponents. Although then it gets really good value, right? Because then you could line up 2 cards for you, 1 for your opponent. Yeah, maybe I'm coming around to fight Master Cox, but then we have our Mastery Pack Guardian. So, not too many new cards, but still some interesting ones. And then we do also have the ones that were previously revealed. So all of the old ones, right, as nice as they are. And yes, beautiful, the Marvel is here. And as gorgeous as the Marvel looks, they are unfortunately limited to just opposing a Guardian hero. So they all have a crush effect that specifically targets a Guardian hero, which is unfortunate because, as Marvels, that's a letdown. As functional cards, that's a letdown. But what can you do? It's the whole crux of this UPF, right? Where it's just sole Guardian focus, and then the Mastery Pack trying to synergize with it, right? Although, would any of them be a super scary card? I think they're just decent. They're not super scary if they weren't limited to just a Guardian as well. But yeah, Binding of the Old Ones, Disenchantment of the Old Ones, and our Smelting of the Old Ones, unfortunately, all Guardian, and there are going to be a decent chunk of just Guardian cards. But then we do have some nice ones, right? So, Crush and Bash. When this defends, you may reveal a card with Crush from your hand if you do create a Seismic Surge token. So that is a very nice block card, right, for our Guardian. So that's what we want to see in terms of helping just expand Classic Constructed play, or Constructed play, again, pending the Blitz reform. Flatten the field. When this deals 4 more damage to a hero, destroy a Seismic Surge token they control. So yes, it's applicable. It does work. They're not going to really control a Seismic Surge token unless they're Guardian. So again, 1 for 1 so far. Grind them down. When this deals 4 or more damage to a hero, destroy the top card of the deck. Definitely could be interesting, especially in the right matchup where they're trying to set something up. But, we've sort of moved away from that well, it may be just because of the meta, where, stuff like Moral Ground, strategic planning. I can't remember if that puts it at the top, but overall, setting up for your following turn doesn't quite work because of the draw phase being at the end. But still, destroy a card. It's interesting. We'll have to see if there's any other sort of synergy with it. Macho Grande has some new art featuring, I would assume it's meant to be Velda, although the artwork, right, hair's wrong. For starters, blonde? Yeah, blonde. Right, but it's got a little tagline by Velda. The dizzying sights of Everfest are as strong as the ale, Velda. Right, so yeah, cool. Alt art, we like to see that, right? Put them in the place is the Velda spec, and definitely looks nice. Crush, when it deals 4 or more damage to a hero, they discard their hand, then draw that many cards. So it's not the usual, they draw that many -1, but that's not so relevant. What's the big takeaway is the synergy with Velda's actual ability, which is whenever your opponent draws 1 or more cards during an action phase, you get to create Seismic Surge tokens. Then if you control 3 or more at the start of your turn, all your cards with Crush get dominate, right? So if you can chain 2 of them together, that's going to be pretty disgusting, but either way, putting them in place is just an attempt to do some damage and set up for that. Other than that, we have our Seismic Eruption, create 3 Seismic Surge, right? Instant, nice, sets up Velda. Our Solid Ground, this costs 1 less for each Seismic Surge you control, so this is a very nice defense reaction. Blue, 2, and you can potentially, again, 3 is the magic number for Velda, make this a 0 for 5 block, right? So definitely nice. Did I miss one up here? Nope. Beautiful. And then lastly, our first legendary of the 3, so there's 3 in the set, is our Testament of Valahai. If you control 3 or more Seismic Surge tokens, this gets +2. Control 6 or more, then instead it gets +4. And it has Guardwell, so as long as you time it correctly, you can get a decent amount of block. Either way, it always works out to 5, I believe. So yeah, still a 5 block shield is kind of nice, and there are ways to remove counters from shields. I know there's ways to give it block, and I know there's ways to remove counters from chest piece, I think. Right? I think there's ways from shield. Yeah, I need to brush up on my Guardian. But overall, right, some interesting cards, some nice, flavorful, again, minus the bordering for UPF. I don't know why they went with this style. There's so many ways they could have. I mean, they came up with this border, right? Would have been perfect. Or I guess you could have stuck the other Guardian border on there as well. But yeah, I don't know. Even the blue to me kind of feels out of place. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. How about yours? What do you think of the new cards? Are you excited to at least try UPF with the events, build some strict Guardians, have some fun, right? I think most people are probably going to be drawn to Bolfa, right? UPF just OTKing now just becomes OTK2. So, yeah. Let me know what you think. Hope you enjoyed. Yeah.